It's Halloween, and Ahsoka actually gave us quite a few spooky Star Wars things to talk about in between space witches and undead stormtroopers. I'm a big zombie fan myself, so today I'm going to go through all the kinds of zombies in Star Wars. We've got to start with the most recent addition to the list, Night Troopers. Thanks to their appearance in Ahsoka, they're probably the most well-known across the entire Star Wars fandom. They were stormtroopers in Thrawn's army that were raised from the dead thanks to Night Sister magic. Some of them we saw reanimated for the first time after their deaths at the hands of Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, but it would appear that the Death Troopers under Thrawn's command had been dead for some time. Fans of the Clone Wars will recognize the ritual to raise the dead from the Battle of Dathomir, where Mother Talzin brought back an army of dead Night Sisters to fight against General Grievous and his droid forces. It's also possible the former Inquisitor Marok may have been reanimated since some greenish-looking dust leaked out of him after Ahsoka struck him with his lightsaber. Tales from the Death Star, which just came out earlier this month, had another example of magically reanimated zombies. In an in-universe legend, an Imperial engineer stole a ring from the Emperor's collection on the second Death Star, which had the power to bring the dead back to life. He used it to create worker drones from the space station's morgue so he could finish construction of the superweapon on time. Of course, they eventually turned on him, and Darth Vader returned the ring to its place in the Emperor's collection. Legend stories also show us some similar creatures created by dark magic. Sith alchemy reanimated the dead on Korriban and Dromund Kaas. A Sith Lord named Darth Dreer created an elixir he hoped would help him achieve immortality, but instead it created a sickness that could spread like a virus. Knowledge of the virus survived until the time of the Empire, when it was recreated under the codename Project Blackwing. That was told in the book Death Troopers, which had a big hand in popularizing zombie stormtroopers back in 2009. Even though the book is not canon, the Rogue One visual guide planted rumors that the black-armored Death Trooper variant of Stormtrooper may have been named for the zombie virus, and the mobile game Star Wars Commander specifically includes Project Blackwing and its zombie stormtroopers. And we can see some other zombie-like creatures in a secret vault of Grand Moff Tarkin's failed weapons experiments in the Dr. Aphra comics. So now we're shifting into more biological zombie origins in Star Wars, so we have to revisit the Clone Wars and the Geonosian brainworms. During a mission to Geonosis, Jedi and clone forces encountered dead Geonosians that had been reanimated through worms that connected their brains back to the hive mind of their queen. The worms were able to infect the living as well. After infecting several clone troopers and even the Jedi Padawan Barriss Offee, they nearly took control of a Republic medical frigate, but the worms could be killed by extremely low temperatures, bringing the infected back to normal. Another example of a parasitic infection comes from the Screaming Citadel comic crossover event. Similar to the Geonosians, there was a queen symbiote that would spread its influence to other beings. It was also able to use the Force to feed off of the life energy of others. A Star Wars Legends comic shows us another vampire-style character, the Countess Regine, who could not only feed on the life energy of her victims, but also turn them into mindless attackers. So this is kind of like a vampire thrall situation. It's half magical and half biological, which takes me to another Legends disease that was originally created by the Sith, the Rakghoul Plague. First created by the Sith Lord Mur, he had a talisman that was able to turn most beings into mutant creatures that were slaves to his will. Hoping to perfect his process, he turned the power into a virus that popped up over and over again throughout galactic history. How about ecological corruption? The High Republic book Quest for the Hidden City introduced a species called the Catacoot that once mined on the planet Gloam, but the minerals corrupted the people, making them more aggressive and turning their blood into a black crystal-like substance. We've also seen a zombie-like infection pass through droids on more than one occasion. In Ghosts of Vader's Castle, we saw zombie droids attack Anakin, Padme, and Jar Jar, even going so far as to infect the Gungan. That wound up being a description of a dream, but we're now seeing it happen for real in the Dark Droids comics. An entity called the Scourge is able to bring more and more droids into its digital consciousness. As it spreads, it also seeks to understand the Force and attempts to create cyborgs to learn to harness it, which has resulted in some very creepy imagery. Finally, I'll bring up one more Legends character, Darth Sion. I don't necessarily consider him to be a zombie or a thrall or anything, but he is basically a living dead Sith Lord. He survived certain death the same way Maul did, by being too angry to die and just being held together by the dark side. Unfortunately, that meant he was in constant agony, but he did get to hold onto his consciousness, so good for him. But those are the kinds of zombies you can find in Star Wars. Magic, biological, parasitic, ecological, droid, or some combination of them all. There are some more examples of those in Star Wars Legends, so let me know if I left your favorite off the list in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, may the Force be with you, and happy Halloween!